call this meeting of the Committee of the Whole to order at 6:26. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Allen.
Here.
Mayor Murphy. Mr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Burchett.
Here.
Mrs. Witt.
Here,
Ms. Marcus.
Here.
and I'll make a motion that we excuse Mayor Murphy from this meeting.
Call, please.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mrs. Witt.
Yes,
Mr. Burchett.
Yes.
Mrs. Allen.
Yes.
Ms. Marcus.
Yes. We have the approval of the minutes for the Committee of the Whole meeting on October 12th. Hearing no changes, corrections, they will be approved as they are. Hearing none, they are approved. Finance Director,
No report, thank you.
City Manager,
No report, thank you.
Mayor,
no report, thank you.
Law Director,
No report, thank you.
Clerk of Council.
No report, thank you.
Okay, we're going to business. The first item is a modification to Moraine Codified Ordinance 509.03.
I can talk, you can
Chief.
clean up whatever I don't.
Yeah.
So 50903 is generally what we call our disorderly conduct or public intoxication ordinance. And it's kind of complex, depending on what you do and where you do it and how drunk you are when you do it. You can be either charged with a minor misdemeanor, or how many times you do it. You can be charged with a minor misdemeanor or a fourth-degree misdemeanor. And we would like that cleaned up for a couple different reasons. First one is some of the cities around us have modified their ordinance, their local city ordinance, to make everything just an M4. It would be a fourth-degree misdemeanor, which would be an arrestable offense, which we could take people to jail for. It makes things a lot simpler for the officers, for the court, and makes things simpler if we charge somebody with some kind of overdose crime. So right now, the way the state law is written, if someone overdoses 3 times, the court can order them into treatment. However, there is no bite if what we charge them with is a minor misdemeanor. So after talking with Prosecutor DePorter and the mayor, we were kicking around the idea of doing what one of our local cities did and make everything an M4, so that if someone fails to go to treatment, that we can rearrest them and make them serve their time. Did I miss anything, Martina? Request for legislation to change 50903 to be fourth-degree misdemeanors across the board.
I make a motion
Yeah.
that proper legislation be prepared.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Allen.
Yes.
Mr. Burchett.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mrs. Witt.
Yes, Martina, this will go into effect as soon as we vote on it in a regular meeting, right?
Yeah, we're going to do 2 readings.
Okay.
Ms. Marcus.
Yes. The next item is the Public Defender 2024 Agreement for Indigent Defense Services.
Yes, thank you. This is an annual housekeeping item, and we're looking for legislation to support the Public Defender Agreement for 2024. Just for a little history, in 2022, we were paying $205.35 per case. The current year, 2023, the contract is $210.45 per case, and for 2024, it would go to $212.95. So we're looking at about a $2.50 increase per case. If there's no other questions or comments, I would just request that council support legislation for this housekeeping item.
Comment was recently made that other cities aren't paying for this. So why are we?
When, that was one thing Terry asked me if I would talk to Kent DePorter yesterday, and he said as far as he knows, all jurisdictions around us do provide a public defender. But up north, they looked at Terry and me like we had 2 heads, because they said we do not provide public defenders. But anyway, Kent said the practice around here is.
And I had heard, it was shared with me that historically at one point we thought about not doing this anymore, and it became a tremendous challenge in working with the prosecutor's office and our public defender's office, and that there were a significant amount of public records requests and other items, and that we, I guess based upon the regional approach that everybody else was doing, is why we continued to go ahead and support the public defender.
So I would make a motion that we do provide do go ahead with the agreement for the public defender.
Any other questions or comments?
From a cost perspective, and this is not firm, but it's just what I can remember off the top of my head, we pay about $5,000 to $6,000 a year
That's-
in public defender fees, and it's based on, you know, if they're needed. So it varies, you know, by year, but it's somewhere in that range.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Witt?
Yes,
Mr. Burchett?
Yes.
Mrs. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Marcus?
Yes. The LB Road Bridge Replacement Project?
Yes, we had a successful application. If anyone on council is not aware, we actually do have a bridge on LB. It's a very small bridge. And it has been deteriorating for several years, and it qualified for a grant application. We were successful. This grant application through ODOT is a fully funded grant application if you're successful, and we were. Fishbeck Consulting, Engineering Consulting helped us along with the process. And we need to have legislation drawn to accept the proposed grant, and we must notify them before November 30th. This is for $720,000 in federal funding, and it would be a project in 2027. So I would like to just request legislation or resolution supporting the acceptance of this grant application.
I make a motion that necessary legislation be prepared.
Okay, do we have any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Burchett?
Yes.
Mrs. Witt?
yes,
Ms. Marcus?
Yes. We have the health insurance renewal for 2024.
Yes, thank you. For many years, we have been with Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield, for our health insurance plan for our employees. Our health insurance plan is bundled together, meaning it includes medical, dental, and vision plans. And these plans are available to our full-time employees or offered to our full-time employees. We are proposing to stay with Anthem for the 2024 plan year. We are already engaged with them for the dental plan, as our dental rates were approved last year for a 2-year locked-in guarantee rate. So for this year, we're looking at the medical and vision plans. Anthem processes our claims, and we pay them administrative fees for access to their network and to process the fees, or process the claims. We pay the claims as a self-funded plan. So that's just briefly how it works there. We are looking at a probable, not guaranteed, but a probable decrease in our claims for next year based on our recent experience. That is information given to us by our broker. Of course, that's not guaranteed, just depends on how our claims come in next year. But we're looking to have a good year next year like we're having this year. So with that, I just have a request to have legislation drawn up for the next regular meeting for Anthem and to renew our health plan documents.
Any questions or comments?
I'll make a motion that we have legislation drawn up for health insurance renewal for 2024.
Please.
Mrs. Witt?
Yes,
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Burchett?
Our final item, the stop loss insurance renewal for 2024.
Yes, thank you. This piggybacks on the last item that you just voted on. So as a self-funded health plan, Like I said before, we pay claims, but we pay claims up to the $100,000 limit. If a claimant reaches that point in their plan year for how much they've cost. So anything beyond that, for each individual claimant that goes beyond that threshold, our stop loss plan comes in and they pay the claims. So they help us. This reduces our risk of very expensive claims. We only have a handful, if that, of claims that reach this level. However, we never know how expensive claims can be. So this is just that backstop that we have to help us control our costs. So we have been with the Waymark Collective for the last 2 years. This 2024 will be our 3rd year in the collective, and that's a group of employers who pool stop-loss premiums together instead of going with Anthem or with Sun Life Insurance or some other insurance provider. So the employers have more control on that pool of premium money, and we get more of a say in how that money's handled. So the goal of that is to have if we have increases, that they are lower increases over the long run, rather than having spikes or, very expensive years that can happen in the stop-loss insurance market. So I would like to request legislation to renew our stop-loss plan with the Waymark Collective for the 2024 plan year.
Any questions or comments? Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to have a legislation prepared for the insurance stopgap as outlined by the finance director.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Witt?
Yes.
Mrs. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Burchett?
Yes.
Mr. Miller? Ms. Marcus?
Yes. That's all of our business. We have no one appearing before council. Staff and council reports. I'm going to start with this building maintenance.
Nothing to report, ma'am, thank you.
Police department,
No report, ma'am, thank you.
fire department,
No report, ma'am, thank you.
parks and recreation,
No report, thank you.
clerk of council,
I have nothing, thank you.
law director,
Nothing, thank you.
finance director,
I have nothing else, thank you.
city manager.
Just a little tidbit of information. We're holding a Halloween costume contest in all of the city employees and buildings. So if you want to stop by a city building on the 31st, you might see a few people dressed up. We have a small competition, friendly competition going for first, second, and third place. So again, that'll be held on Halloween. That's all I have. Thank you.
Acting mayor,
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Burchett,
No report, thank you.
Mr. Miller,
Nothing further, thanks.
Mrs. Allen.
Nothing to report, thank you.
I have nothing either, so we will adjourn this meeting at 6:39.